Hello Nadia, well done on completing an essay. Let's have a look. Euripides presents the inhumanity of war discuss. Set against the backdrop of classic Greek society in the midst, do you mean, of the battle between Athens and Sparta? So what really you mean there is that it was written in the middle of the Peloponnesian War. It's sort of not quite clear there. The Peloponnesian War went from 431 BC to 404 BC. And yes, this is in the middle of it, true. But you make it look like the Women of Troy is about the Peloponnesian War when it actually is not. Women of Troy is about the Trojan War. But if you have a look at the little video I've made about the background, which I'll give you a link to when I return this, in many ways, the play is a metaphor for what happens on the island of Melos, the Athenians when they invade and massacre the Melians. Euripides' play, The Women of Troy, confronts the audience with the conquest of women taken as slaves of war, with a tragic consequence for the women at the conclusion of the Trojan War. The playwright's strong pacifist and feminist opinions are accentuated repeatedly through the play through the environment of extreme cruelty and torment after the war, especially inflicted on Trojans due to the inhumane treatment of war. Especially, yep. So, what should I say topic? Inhumanity of war, yep. Euripides opens consistently imposing his play by compelling his audience the unfair treatment of victims. See there, I feel like you just needed to say it a bit more plainly. Don't aim for sophistication, aim for clarity. Clarity always comes first, because when people try to be sophisticated, sometimes they don't use the right words and it comes out sort of a bit wobbly. Just aim to be really clear. It's better to get your ideas out clearly than aim for sophistication. You won't get extra marks for sort of attempts at sophistication that don't come out right, but you will get marks for being really clear about what you mean. The frequency, barbarity and unrepentant abuse of female characters indicates the Greeks' intent on destroying the women. Despite the way the Trojans are treated, Euripides exhibits that not all Greeks show inhumane ways towards the Trojans. Okay, so you're going to have one body paragraph that challenges the prompt. Good. Throughout the play, Euripides presents the unfair treatment of victims to his audience. Through baby Astyanax, Andromache's son, Euripides shows how viciousness the Greeks were to victims, how vicious the Greeks were to victims. Baby Astyanax, who was next in line for the crown, was thrown from the walls of Troy. Can you see here how your quotes are about facts? So quotes that are about facts never have as much weight as profound sort of wording that's sort of, I don't know how to explain this to you. So can you see how thrown from the walls of Troy is about some fact that happens, some physical thing that's happening, whereas what you want in a quote is you want profound wording about an idea. So keep that in mind, that these quotes are not going to carry as much weight as profound wording, because the Greeks were threatened by his power. Correct. This occasion not only ruined Astyanax, but caused Mother Andromache and Grandmother Hecuba to lament for days on end. This just shows how victims of war suffered greatly. Euripides again demonstrates how daughters of Hecuba, Polyxena, was also left to die in a cruel way. daughter of Hecuba, was to be enslaved by Achilles to serve him at his grave, which means Polyxena was taken away and forced to die. Yep, she was murdered. Um, the harshness of poor Polyxena led Mother Hecuba to once again lament deeply. Liberties demonstrates that due to the severity of war, some characters suggesting that Polyxena is better dead than she is living. This shows how victims of war are stripped from their usual mindset and are forced to only seek negativities as things continue to just get worse. Therefore, Euripides compels to his audience that no one is safe at war, and certainly not victims. So here you might, at the end of your body paragraph, you might talk about how the world of the author. So Euripides here is saying that this is inhumane treatment of fellow human beings. It's not treating other humans as in a humane way, and there's numerous examples of this throughout the text that are graphically described and designed to elicit a real response from the audience. Let's keep going. Furthermore, Euripides highlights the harsh impacts that the women of Troy suffered from inhumane treatment. Demonstrated through Hecuba, Euripides shows that the Queen of Troy suffers from a loss of power and position caused by the abuse of the Greeks. I feel like this idea is a bit close to the previous one, that maybe you needed to have a more nuanced, slightly different angle that you're taking. Let's have a look at what you do, and then I'll see if I can make a suggestion about what you could have done. Messenger Thalthybius tells Hecuba that she will be enslaved by Odysseus, who is a powerful Greek. After being told that she will be enslaved to one of the most powerful Greeks, Hecuba saw no light, no point in life. She had to serve her country as she promised. This cruel treatment had Hecuba despair that nothing was going to get better and the news was only going to get worse. Having no hope left Hecuba something to burn herself to death by diving into the flames of the ruins of Troy. However, she's dragged back and sent to Odysseus. Euripides also accompanies this with the mistreatment of consecrated virgin Cassandra, other daughter of protagonist Hecuba. Nice little bit of meta language there. It was going to be enslaved to Agamemnon, who wanted Cassandra because she was scared. Agamemnon wanted Cassandra. Oh, sacred. Sorry, I've misread that. Yes. Yep. True. Having all daughters enslaved and poorly handled led Hecuba's mother to all suffer from great loss from the evil wrongdoings of the women of Troy. Yep. So, if we go back to your essay topic, which presents the inhumanity of war, your first body paragraph is unfair treatment of victims, and then the next one is harsh impacts of the women suffered from the inhumane treatment. So maybe your first one needed to have the more nuanced unfair treatment of the men could be different enough, but we don't see much of the unfair treatment of men, do we? So we probably it just needs a bigger difference, a more nuanced difference between them. I've been thinking about what you could have done with your topic sentences. Maybe A more nuanced approach would have been, to do with the powerlessness of the oppressed. And maybe in another body paragraph, you could have talked about the inhumanity that is being expressed through people's beliefs in the gods. Somehow you could have dragged that into it, maybe. Um, they're just very similar, that's all. Um, do a little bit more research on the inhumanity of war when I've given you this feedback, because I really feel like perhaps it could be an essay topic on the exam, because it hasn't been used before. Furthermore, back on your essay here, Euripides highlights harsh impacts. Oh no, I've done that one. Scrolling down. Despite the way the Greeks destroyed the victims and women of Troy, Euripides expresses that not all Greeks show unjust treatment to the Trojans. Well-known Greek Talthybius, who is portrayed as the messenger in the Peloponnesian War. No, Trojan War. Remember, the Peloponnesian War is the war that is happening in the time of Euripides, and this is the Trojan War. Shows a different perspective towards the people of Troy, one of the only mortal men in the play. True. Visits Hecuba to warn her about which Greek her and the women would be enslaved to. Hecuba to serve Odysseus, Polyxena to serve Achilles, Andromache to serve Achilles' son. He told the women, although he's Greek, Talthybius is sympathetic towards the Trojans, tries best to mitigate the women's suffering. Through this, Euripides shows that not all Greeks are evil. He's a bit spineless though, Talthybius. That's a whole different issue. Yep, so he's not totally inhumane. You might also talk about Menelaus. He comes along and he's all bravado and, yes, I'm going to kill Helen, but, we know he's not. In conclusion, Euripides' play presents the inhumane treatment of war. Euripides compels that, due to the unjust would be the word, way Greeks are towards the Trojans, that victims who do nothing wrong are even a threat and are brutally treated. Also express how more than others the women are more so mistreated. Although Euripides portrays the Greeks to be evil, wrongdoing people, not all are there to torture the Trojans, which is seen through Talthybius. What I would do here in this conclusion is probably talk about how what he's written is reflecting, commenting to his audience of Athenians at the festival of Dionysus about how unjustly they have treated the Melians in their invasion, how it is a metaphor for that, and it is asking them to consider, is this the right way to treat people? So you probably also needed some more quotes in this one. Again, you've chosen to have sort of fact type quotes, which are not the best things to use. I will send you my quotes sheet again and see if you can rewrite this and add quotes into it. So you can type the next one, and even if you just do one body paragraph, and you can send that back to me if you like.